Okie dokie. So I'm not gonna lie, this is not fun. It's actually gonna be really easy. The part that we're gonna do is really easy, but the weird part is trying to wrap your head around the geometry of it. Basically, I'm gonna show you a trick, is the way I would view it. It feels like magic, but it's not. We're just manipulating stuff and doing things like that we want. We do stuff that we want so that we get a desired result. All right. This you might call this completing the square, but we're gonna make a perfect square trinomial. So a perfect square trinomial is something like this. A lot of times you'll see it. Let me just make up an example here. So this is a perfect square binomial, I guess you would call it. Maybe not. But when you multiply it out, x plus 3 times itself, you're going to get x squared plus 6x plus 9. That's after you combine terms. This is a perfect square trinomial, and that's what we're going to make, and there's a reason for it. So let me start by, I'm going to save this picture for later. Let me start by multiplying this out. So it looks nasty because of the fraction, and it's another variable. But what we're going to do is just multiply it by itself. Okay, x times x is going to give us the x squared. X times b over 2. And that'll give us b over 2x, or 1/2 bx. Here we're going to get the same thing, b over 2 times x. So we got two of those. And then the last one is going to be b over 2 times b over 2. And I'm going to leave that as b over 2 squared. You'll see why later. All right, combine the ones in the middle. Let's see here, because they're both just regular x's. This is kind of like, it's kind of like 1/2 bx. That's what that is. Or sorry, that. And then you have two of those. Well, 1/2 of something plus 1/2 of something is equal to 1 whole. All right. So b over 2x plus b over 2x is equal to bx plus b over 2 squared. All right, this is going to help us to get to there. We're going to be given something like this, and we're going to do something that feels illegal, and it should feel illegal, but we're going to manipulate this so that we get a perfect square trinomial. All right, the trick is that you're going to take the b term, right here. You're going to take the b term and cut it in half, like this. You're going to divide it by 2, and then you're going to square it. All right. So if you take the number 8, take the number 8, and you're going to cut it in half. That's the b over 2 part. But then you're also going to square that. 8 divided by 2 is 4. 4 to the second power is 16. All right, this is a perfect square trinomial. I guarantee it. So what I want to do is factor it. Two numbers that multiply to 16 and they add up. Sorry, two numbers that multiply to 16 and they add up to 8. That's 4 and 4, and they're both plus signs. Same signs, they're both plus. And this is a perfect square trinomial. You could rewrite it as x plus 4 to the second power. All right? That's why we're doing this little mechanism, all this stuff. And it works with negatives too. It'll just be minus signs. All right, so half of 6. Oh yeah, by the way, this is always positive. This part is. So half of 6, and then we're going to square that. So you get -3, but then you square it, so it becomes 9. All right, and did I do that? I basically did that one earlier. I just made it a plus. So it's going to be the same thing, but with a minus instead. So it's going to be x minus 3 squared. All right, I'm going to try to explain this, or why this is happening, why we're cutting it in half and then squaring it. I'm going to try to show you with a picture. Ooh, we'll see. All right, so we are going to what they call complete the square. You've already got a square here. That's your x squared. And this is your bx right there. All right, this is your x squared. But we're missing this part here. You're going to see where this comes into play. Like, we're literally just adding that to the expression, which typically is illegal. But the way around that you'll learn later. Like, there's a way around it. Two ways around it, actually. Let's see. What we're going to do is we're going to cut this in half. So imagine we cut it in half like this. It's still x this way, but here it's b over 2. So there is that. We've got 2 of those. So I'm going to lay that. I'm going to lay one of them right here. So this is going to be it's still going to be x long this way. But this right here is going to be b over 2. That's that segment. I'm going to do the other one. Same idea over here. Ish. All right. And that's b over 2 right there, because that's that little segment. And x this way. All right. Seems like I'm making it more complicated. But I'm just taking half of this one. All right. And as of right now, we actually haven't done anything new to the shape. We just kind of cut it and rearranged it. But this little spot right here, this is what we're going to add onto it. This is what they mean by completing the square. So now it's going to be, a full square using all the pieces. But what are the dimensions of this little square right here? Well, it's b over 2, this way. It's b over 2 that way, and it's b over 2 this way. That's why we call it b over 2 squared. I know it's completely insane. Some of you may have got it, but it's okay. But this is the only part that we're adding. And to get that little part, that's why this thing factors like this does, is because we added that one little piece. All right. All we're going to be doing is cutting this number in half and then squaring it. So half of 10 is 5. 5 squared is 25. Half of 5 is 2.5. 5 squared. You get 6.25 when you square it. The reason we're doing this is because it makes the factoring easier. Half of 7 is 3.5. When you square it, you get 12.25. Half of 13 is 6.5. When you, my bad. Half of 13 is 6.5. When you square it, you're going to get 42.25. And all of these have a nice pattern for the way that they factor. It's, it's obviously the same sign here. So this is going to be a minus, an x minus. This one was a plus, but to get the 4, all it was half of the 8. All right, you see up here in the factored form, it's just half of the b term. So here it was half of the 6. Here it's going to be half of the 10. So 5. And if you were to multiply this out, you would get this original. All right, we'll factor this. It's going to be a decimal. So x plus, because it's a plus sign there, and it's going to be half of that term right there. I don't think you're going to have to actually do the factoring part so much right now, but you are going to have to complete the square. That step where you cut this in half and then square it. Square. All right, half of 7 is the 3.5. And half of the 13 is x plus the 6.5 squared. All right, next video, I'm going to show you how to apply it and how to get around this little thing right here where we just willy-nilly added something to it.